Why I finally left Bikram hot yoga, the breakup. Sorry for being so dramatic. My family accuses me for being over dramatic. What do you expect? In college, I was a theater major. But before we go to the breakup, a little backstory. One of the highlights of my yoga career, and I've had a lot of them, thank goodness, was working with most of the professional athletic teams in South Florida. Al Leiter was really the one that started it. It wasn't like I called up the professional teams like the Miami Dolphins or the Miami Heat. I didn't say, hey, let me teach you hot yoga. And they said, sure, come on and do it. It was always personal connections. So Al Leiter, he was a pitcher for back then they were just called the Florida Marlins. Now they're called the Miami Marlins. Al Leiter was the nephew of two of my very, very close friends and students from the very beginning. So he started doing hot yoga. He told Jeff Ulinick, who was the center for the Miami Dolphins, to start doing yoga. He came in. Jeff Ulinick now goes to the Miami Dolphins training camp, starts showing him the yoga postures that I taught him. Ryan Vermillion was the trainer for the Dolphins back then. He then brought in Dan Marino, who was one of the top quarterbacks of all time. And now I started going to the Miami Dolphin training camp to teach them hot yoga. Before we continue on, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell. Any questions or comments, put them down below. I'm happy to get back to you. So then I started working with back then the Florida Marlins. In fact, in 1997, they won the World Series, and that's when I was working with them, so I take a little credit for that. And a couple times I went to the stadium before a game. Jeff Conine was one of the top players back then. I would do a yoga warm-up with him, not a full class, but a warm-up before he started his game. And another personal story, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was definitely the most famous athletic student that Bikram had. And Ronnie Cycli was the center for the Miami Heat. This we're talking about NBA now, basketball. So Kareem told, once again, personal connection, Kareem told Ronnie to give me a call, and I would go to Ronnie's house to teach him hot yoga. He lived in a very exclusive area in Miami called Star Island. In fact, here's a little side note, he sold his house to Shaquille O'Neal when Shaquille O'Neal came to play for the Miami Heat. So I was in Shaq's house before he was, interestingly enough. And he was also right next door to Gloria Stefan. I used to see Gloria as I was driving into Ronnie's house. One time I saw her jogging down the street. So this is leading up to how Bikram and I broke up. This is why I start talking about me working with the professional athletes. Joey Reynolds, very, very famous disc jockey. He was actually, if you ever saw the movie or you ever saw the play The Jersey Boys, he was actually in that movie when they talked about a disc jockey. He was playing constantly for 24 hours or 48 hours. One of the particular songs that the Jersey Boys, the Four Seasons were singing, the Four Seasons had just recorded, it was documented in the movie. Joey Reynolds was they actually changed the name in the movie, but Joey Reynolds was the actual disc jockey. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing him up, he wanted to produce a hot yoga video of me teaching the professional athletes. I talked to Dan Marino, I talked to all the top players on the Miami Marlins, talked to Ronnie Cycli, and we were about to go in production. I give Bikram a call and I say, Bikram, I'm about to do this video with all these top professional athletes on Bikram Yoga. He said, no, you cannot do it. Why? Because Bikram doesn't like to share the spotlight. So all the meetings and all the conferences I had with Joey, I finally had to say, look, Joey, you can't do it. Bikram is not going to allow me to do it. He's going to cut me off. And people would say, why don't you leave Bikram? Look how he's stopping your growth. But I was Bikram's top teacher. If you remember in the last video, I was touring the country doing Bikram workshops all over the country at the time. Eventually it was the world. When I started teaching the Barkan Method, that's when I went international, but back then it was national. Also, I was representing Bikram in the yoga conferences. So as Bikram's career started to go higher, my career started to go higher because I was Bikram's #1 guy. So I didn't want to leave Bikram. Now here's the second part of the story. One of my students, her husband owned one of the top publishing houses in the world. And it was actually, interestingly enough, based in South Florida in Deerfield Beach. It's called Health Communications. And they had this wonderful franchise book that you have heard of before. Well, if you're younger, you may not have, but if you're in your 50s and above, I guarantee you've heard of it, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. But what they did was they presented me with a contract. Usually they'll give a person a one-book contract, and if it did well, if they didn't want to do a series of books, they would go from there. And they would print 5,000 books or somewhere in the smaller number. If it did well, they would then increase the volume. They presented me a contract to do a 5-book series. And interestingly enough, they were going to do $1 million first print of the first book. Now the question is, why do you think they would do that? We were going to call it, first of all, back up for a second. We were gonna call it fitness yoga for whatever particular sport we were gonna do. So the first sport we were gonna do was golf. So it was gonna be called fitness yoga for golfers. And they were gonna do tennis players and skiers and runners and so on and so on. And I did a whole outline, presented the book. Now back to why they were gonna print 1 million books to start, because they're gonna put it next to their franchise book. And the franchise was, big drum roll, Rochelle, Chicken Soup for the Soul. And if you're over 50, I know you've heard of this franchise book. So they were going to do Chicken Soup for the Golfer's Soul, and right next to it, Fitness Yoga for Golfers. And then we're going to go from there with a series of books. So I wrote an outline. We presented a whole completely different expression than the 26 and 2, which was Bikram's sequence, which is what Bikram was trying to copyright later on. Interestingly enough, the Health Communications law firm was the same law firm that represented Bikram's publisher, Penguin Putnam. They were the same lawyers. So they said, they read my outline, they read what I was proposing to do with this particular series, and they say it was not a copyright infringement. It was a completely different expression. So I went to Bikram, called him on the phone again. Said, Bikram, here's what's happening. I told him the whole deal. And of course, and I should have expected it, but I was thinking, because it wasn't going to do the 26 and 2, I didn't think there'd be an issue, but in the back of my mind I did. Bikram, of course, goes, oh, no. You take one sentence or one word from my book, we will sue you. I said, Bikram, was a different expression. We already had lawyers say it was not a copyright infringement. He said, I don't care. We're going to sue you anyway. So now I called the publisher. I told the publisher what Bikram said. And here's what they said. They had their little meeting, their little powwow. They withdrew the contract. They said, look, we know that it's a different expression. And if there was a lawsuit, most likely Bikram would not win that lawsuit. However, we don't want a lawsuit. We don't want the drama. Therefore, they withdrew the contract. Then people said, why don't you leave Bikram? And even then I said, no, I'm not going to. I was loyal to my teacher. Now we come to the year 2001, close to 2002, and Bikram Yoga starts to explode. He starts to get bigger than ever. And like I said, I was representing Bikram in the yoga conferences, going to all the different Bikram schools that started opening from his teacher training programs, doing workshops representing Bikram. And at one point, as he started to get more well-known, as he started to grow, as he started to explode, I should say, in his popularity, his reign started to pull in even more. Because like I said before, Bikram does not like to share the spotlight. The point I'm making is, maybe it's a cultural thing in India, but Bikram and Amrit Desai and maybe some of the other gurus do not like to share the spotlight. Okay, as the story continues on, people are starting to open Bikram studios all over the country. Here's another story. One of my friends, Jeff Harpster, his whole thing was real estate. He did what they call rollout. He did over 1,000 blockbuster videos. He represented Wayne Huizenga in opening blockbuster videos all across the country. He also opened up 400 or so Einstein bagels, which started in South Florida, by the way. It was originally created by a Miami Dolphin. His name was Offerdahl, and eventually he opened his own. He sold the name to Einstein Bagels. Anyway, long story short, Jeff and I were going to do a rollout at Bikram schools. However, Bikram had rules, and Jeff Harpster was not a Bikram certified teacher, so he stifled that deal. Anyway, that's just a side note. I'm about to open my second studio in Miami, North Miami, and one of my top students, his name is Jim Borsellino, who continues to teach Bikram Yoga today. He was with me from almost the very beginning. He's going to be the manager of the studio. I'm at a party. I'm about 1 week from signing the lease, and one of my students, Ricky, again, here's Ricky again. He was the uncle of Al Leiter. We're about to open a studio 1 block away from where I was about to sign the lease. And I said, Ricky, I'm about to open the studio. He says, Jimmy, we signed the lease. I said, didn't you tell Bikram? Because I asked Bikram, I said, Bikram, can I open a studio now in North Miami? You have to get permission. He said, sure. But he also gave permission for Ricky to open a studio in North Miami. So I called Bikram. I said, Bikram, you gave me permission to open a studio in North Miami. Now you gave the same permission to Ricky. And Bikram said, North Miami, South Miami, I don't know Miami. He did not have a demographic expert in-house. So he was very unorganized in that way. I said, well, Bikram, why didn't you ask me anyway? Here's another side note for Bikram. You never want to poke the Bengal tiger if he's in the corner. So Bikram exploded. You're chicken shit. You should have done it 10 years ago. Ricky's going to open the studio. That's it. I still didn't leave Bikram. Now the story's coming close to an end. Now my 2 lawyers, they were going to open a holistic wellness center in Plantation, Florida. And we called it actually Yoga Connection. And they wanted me to run the Bikram Yoga department. And this is now after the whole Miami thing just fell apart. I said, look, guys, I wasn't going to do it because of the Miami thing, but now that that fell apart, I want to be a third partner. And I will not just run the Bikram department, I'm going to be your third partner. So they said, fine. So we opened the studio. Actually, I called Bikram first because you have to ask permission. I said, Bikram, here's what's happening. He says, okay, that's fine. But if you're going to put Bikram Yoga in a wellness center, you have to have your own entrance so they know this is the Bikram Yoga side. Fine. It actually cost us $5,000 to put that door in, and another door into the shopping center. We open. We do really well. 6 months later, in fact, a lot of the students that were, because it was fairly close to my Fort Lauderdale studio, a lot of my students that came from Plantation now went to that studio, so it actually drained my Fort Lauderdale studio for a short period of time. 6 months into it, Bikram gives me a call. He says, we're doing a new franchise deal. And the franchise deal is you can't share your space with the wellness center. You have to have your own desk, your own phone, your own receptionist. In fact, you can't even be in the same building. So you have to leave. I said, Bikram, I can't leave. I have a lease. I have a personal guarantee. We're now doing really, really well. It would have been impossible for me to leave because my lawyers would have sued me because I was a partner. So I called Bikram on the phone. I said, Bikram, I can't leave. He says, you have to leave or you're out. And I said, I have no choice. He said to me, look, in the Bikram world, there's me, and then there's you. You're number two, and there's nobody else. You sure you're going to do this? I said, Bikram, I have no choice. Bikram's favorite thing would be, then nothing to talk, and he hangs up the phone. And that's how it finally happened. It was the last straw. I really had no choice. I mean, I did have a choice, but my choice was to leave. And sadly to say, Bikram and I, like I said before in other videos, we were family. It was sad to leave something that I had been so embedded in. It changed the course of my life forever. However, leaving Bikram was definitely the best decision I ever made because now the reins were taken off and I was free to do whatever I wanted to do and grow and became now internationally known in the hot yoga world. And next week, I'm going to talk about what changes I made when Bikram and I split. The next teacher training program's coming up for 2026, November and December. I'm going to be at Marlton, New Jersey at Yoga Revive. And also in Iceland, Selfoss, Iceland, which is about 45 minutes east of Reykjavik. We're going to be doing 6 weekends of a level 1 teacher training program. I also put links in the description below. We'd love to have you join us. That's our episode for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you the next episode. Bye, everyone.